G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map in the color yellow, playing as the Holy Roman Empire. We've got the final boss, aka Salami. And on the north side of the map in the color blue, playing as the English, it's DFP aka Divine. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dry Arabia. Now you may notice my voice sounds a little bit different, and I can assure you everything is absolutely okay. I'm just a little bit unfit, a little bit unwell, but I said, you know what? I want to get on. I want to start casting some games because it's been a bit of time since I've done it. So I figured I'd come on. So hopefully everything goes well. If I need to duck out for a breath of fresh air, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, we move on, we move forward, and we move into this game now. This is an interesting matchup. We actually recently covered this matchup on the channel with Vortex. We saw Vortex taking on Kaup, and it was an interesting playstyle by Vortex, where he looked to put on feudal pressure as the English against the Holy Roman Empire. And I'm curious whether we're going to see that today. Now, knowing Divine's playstyle, I don't think that's going to be the case. If anything, I've seen from Divine very much a largely greedy playstyle. So he looks often to play 2 town centers into fast castle. If he can get away with it, he'll do 3 town centers into fast castle. So quickly becoming one of the more greedy players when it comes to Age of Empires 4 at the top level. And I think that's a good thing, right? To be a greedy player, to know how much you can get away with. But at the same time, you got to be careful. You know, you don't want to risk it just to get the biscuit. But speaking of biscuits, we've got lots of biscuits going to get made here by Salami as he's gone for a double scout opening, which has been, as I mentioned previously in another video, it's been rising in popularity again. We've seen the return of the double scout, and I'm curious exactly why this is. Is it just the importance of having more sheep? Is it that you're trying to deny them from your enemy? And I can't help but feel like it probably isn't, because denying sheep from the English, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have sheep as the English. The more the merrier, right? If you could have 25 sheep, you're not going to say no to it, are you? But at the end of the day, it's just the English. They got farms. It's not a big deal. Let's talk a little bit about Archon placement. Now, there's a great little spot down here for an Archon. I think this might actually be pixel perfect. He can sit that between. But then you're going 2 TC against the English, and I feel like this is one of those matchups where you can go fast Imperial as the Holy Roman Empire. But look at this, Salami goes for the Archon, but instead he's going to put it in the middle of all 3. So he hits the stone, hits the berries, and hits the wood line as well. Our other option was obviously towards the top side here, where he could hit the gold and hit the wood line. But you do that, and then you're kind of risking it a fair amount just because it's towards the front. So if you do get pressure applied with any kind of early aggression, then you are going to be in trouble. So it makes sense to have it in behind on the backside here, but it's an early age up coming through from Salami. 5 villagers on the Archon Chapel, quite a fair bit. What's right on board over on the other side of the map is DFP. He starts off and he goes for an early wheelbarrow. This is quite standard for him on his English. As I mentioned, I do watch him stream over on Twitch, and if you'd like to catch either of these 2 guys over on Twitch, I'll leave links down in the description. You can catch Salami on Twitch pretty much every single day. Divine is the same. He's always streaming over there. So go say g'day. Links will be down in the description. But we do see the Council Hall now starting to come through from DFP. So my suspicion is that he's going to move into a second town center. Now, against the Holy Roman Empire, this is where it starts to get dangerous, because this is a matchup that I'm intimately familiar with. And I'll explain why. Because I've tested 2 TC, I've tested 3 TC against this civilization, and I can't help but feel it feels exactly like I'm playing as the Chinese against the Holy Roman Empire, which, if you don't know, it's not a good matchup. So what's going to happen? Holy Roman Empire, they're going to look to go Castle Age, okay? Some players like to put on aggression, maybe throw down a stable right now and look to get out a horseman, maybe attack your gold, something like that. But most of them just look to play it stock standard and just pretty much go towards Castle Age and then just start picking up relics. And what we've seen players tend to do now, go straight into the Regnitz Cathedral, start picking up relics, and then immediately after that capturing sacred sites. And then, you know, just get out a couple of knights. You don't have to go too crazy with the knights, 2 knights, 3 knights, 5 knights, something like that. And then up to Imperial, because once you get to Imperial, you've got Swabia, and then you begin scaling into the late game. Because you've got to remember, right, if you're playing up against an English player, they're on 3 TCs. If you're playing against them in the Castle Age, and, you know, maybe it's even Stevens in the Castle Age, you've got 1 TC, they've got 3. So the longer that you're sitting on that 1 TC, the worse off it gets for you. So ideally, you want to be getting up to that Imperial sooner. So I'm curious to see whether Salami looks to play that style. DFP, Divine, he's obviously going to be going for a second TC, and a lot of vills out here on the stone, which to me is an indicator it's probably going to be a 3 TC style coming out from him, which is very bold because by going for 3 TCs, you're preventing... So that age up that's going to come through for you, you're looking at about 10 minutes and 30 seconds on a good day, on a great day. I think my world record time is 10 minutes and 10 seconds on my Castle age up. Divine's obviously a pretty decent player as well, but you're going to be surrendering the relics over to the Holy Roman Empire, and that's where it starts to get a bit worrisome. But we'll ride on board now with Salami as he looks to try and scout out his enemy, see exactly what he's up to, spots out the stone. He's going to be looking for 850. That's what he's going to be registering. Is it 850? Does he continue taking more off it? Another indicator will be whether if the town center comes down on the stone. The TC is down on the stone. It's always a good indicator that it's probably going to be that's going to be the second TC. Let's see what he does. You can see the Vil's kind of standing there. It's going to be 3 TCs. So that right there is your indicator. And the reason why the players often do this is just simply because they don't want the walk distance, right? You think about it, 10 villagers on the stone, walking over to maybe here, drop the town center, and then they got to walk back. That's a long way to walk. It's maybe 15 seconds here, 15 seconds back. So you're delaying that town center by 30 seconds just for positioning. So we just throw the town center down on the stone. It helps us out a lot. There are alternatives, ways that you can play it. Of course, you can always look to build your town center with villagers that are doing other things. So some builds, you just leave like 4 or 5 villas over on the stone, and let that wood or let that stone slowly trickle in, and then build it with your wood villagers, and then just have like 12 villagers on wood. But each player is different with how they approach it, and we'll ride on board now with Salami and see how he's doing. A very passive opening game. Despite having the council hall, we don't see any longbowmen come out, which is interesting because even just a single longbowman down here can be a bit annoying. Obviously, the prelate is out, and I love the fact that Salami's already gone into a second prelate here. This is a great indicator for me that Salami is going to be looking to establish control over those relics quickly. Normally, what we see players do is look to challenge the central relics first, just because they are the contested relics, and there could be, DFP could be looking to get out on the map, potentially deny these relics. Something that we have seen players do is look to wall them in, or look to send out, 2 longbows, 2 spears, something like that, just to try and prevent them. And look at this naughty little scout coming in here, not doing a whole lot of damage though. And we do see villagers moving out. It's going to be the Regnitz that gets dropped down. Decent little timing here, 7 minutes and 20. Not the fastest Regnitz that we've ever seen, obviously. He's done a pretty decent job of diversifying his economy, his food economy. So you see all the sheep that we've got here, 6 sheep. This is a lot of sheep, a lot of food. He didn't have to go onto berries. He didn't have to make these farms, but he said, you know what? I've got time. I know how Divine plays. I know he's going for a 3rd town center. So I don't have to rush this bad boy up. I can take my time, and you can see right there, that's almost going to be a dead scout, almost certainly going to be a dead scout. Indeed it is. So Salami now down to 1 scout, and the 3rd town center is coming up for DFP in the back of the base. Beautiful little spot here between the wood line and the gold. Always want to make sure it's on the gold. The gold, the most important resource for the English. Once you've got these town centers up, because if you don't have control over that gold, you're not going to be getting an age up in. And you can damn well expect one of the best base builders in the game, DFP, to be looking good as he begins working towards that farms. And I just want to compliment him on this, as Salami obviously has aged up now, and we see him looking to pick up those relics and neutralize sacred sites. His base building is immaculate. A lot of players will look to drop down a mill and then put their farms around it. You can see the way that he drops his mills down. He puts the mills down and then immediately fills in the closest farms to the town center. There's a couple of reasons why he does that, but the main one is just to keep these villages safe. So we've got prelates now picking up relics. That's going to be 3 relics already picked up for Salami. So you've got all of those neutral or those contested relics that have been taken. He's also going to take a sacred site. And look at this, putting it in the outpost out here. Absolutely beautiful stuff from Salami. I love the way he's thinking. But we do have the 2 uncontested, so the safe relics up towards the north and the south that are remaining. And I would almost be suspicious or suspecting at this point that Salami will take all 5 relics on this map. There just doesn't seem to be any real force out yet from DFP. And you can see that even if we switch it over now, DFP actually getting his eco ups as well. Obviously starts off with the early wheelbarrow, goes into horticulture here. Has he picked up? No, he hasn't picked up these other +1s just yet. I actually did the math on this. You can get away with going for all your +1s and you don't actually lose any time on your age up. It's kind of wild how quickly it pays off. But we do have the relics now coming through for Salami. So very passive game so far. And to me, it looks like Salami's just going to be going into a fast Imperial, which is definitely the right call here. I'd love to see him just get out of... There we go. All right, he's getting out some knights. Okay. So just a knight or 2 is always good to harass, but against the English, it can be really hard to harass them. Obviously, 3 town centers are up right now, so it means that you're going to be copping a lot of arrows if you go under. Now, remember that the knight's got 4 armor. and town centers do 6 damage with their arrows if there is a villager inside. The main town center will do 8 damage, so it does a little bit more, and it does double damage as well because there's 2 arrows. But the knight's going to have to deal with some pretty good base building here. We're right on board with Salami as he looks to come through. Let's see if he's able to do any damage with this first knight. And you can see the power of the first knight here from the Holy Roman Empire. Comes in, does manage to hit a villager, but it gets inside. No textiles through, so all these villagers are going to be pretty close to 2 to 3 shots. And the knight going to go down without any damage being done. I mean, it managed to get a hit or 2 in, but you're just going to move this villager right underneath the town center, and that way it's going to be safe. We see the second knight on the way as well, and look at this behind. Salami is going to be going for that Imperial Age. And I think my question is, what does DFP look to play this style like? Because one of the ways I've looked to play this against the Holy Roman Empire, I haven't had a lot of success with it, especially towards the top level, is going into a castle-orientated play, so crossbows, knights, that sort of thing, and crossbow spear. But, of course, the Holy Roman Empire with their elite units, it feels really good, and they've always got the culverin. And look at, jeez, these knights are getting absolutely beaten. That is crazy, just how much damage gets done right there. A little bit ludicrous, I'm going to be honest. But Ville's now going to be moving into position. White Tower going to be coming down. He's going to put it at the front. Beautiful base building. Like, look, just admire this right now, because this is the highest level of English base building you will ever see. It is just all the farms beautifully around the town center. TC positioned perfectly spaced to protect the farms. Enough space here for the White Tower at the front of the base, not at the back of the base. We learned that lesson. And what do we got going on here? Now, this is a question that I always have. So 24 farms seems fine. But when you go into this many farms, this is where it starts to like be a little bit crazy for me, because it's just like there's no way you can support any amount of production or any amount of like units with this many villagers on food. Like, you're just going to build up a surplus of food. So I don't know exactly what that's all about. We'll have to wait and see what he gets up to. But we do have the Imperial Age coming through from Salami. It is definitely the right call. And now the question is, what kind of unit composition does he move into? So I'd love to see hand cannoneers. I think hand cannoneers are really strong for the Holy Roman Empire, just because they've got such good gold production, right? Like, you think about it from the perspective of the Holy Roman Empire. You're talking about 5 relics that are all maxing out on their gold production. If we have a look down here, you can see that at the moment he's sitting on 320, but it's actually double that because of the Regnitz Cathedral. And he's got the sacred sites as well. Interestingly, hasn't taken the sacred sites, which I do find a bit strange. I think that it's kind of, it's free real estate, so you might as well take it at this point. But the age ups come through, so a little bit shy of 13 minutes. Not a bad timing, and the Swabia is now going to begin producing. And we do see the relics now starting to move out, so he's going to start putting them in outposts. Of course, for anybody wondering, you get the bonus with the relics no matter where those relics are. As long as they're in a building garrison somewhere, you're going to get that bonus resource that's coming through. Now, I'm curious whether he moves into tithe barns. I'd expect him to do that. Hold on a minute. Okay, all right. I respect this. DFP is going Imperial as well. I like this a lot. This is a bit wild. That explains the extra 8 villagers on food. Because normally in this situation, 24 is all you need, and you can just pump out units non-stop. You can pump out your knights, your crossbows, your spears, men-at-arms, whatever you want, until like 15 minutes. And look at this. We've got a fast Imperial coming down. Hello, Imperial meta. How are you doing? Even the English are fast Imperialing right now. Look at the time on this. This is an elite time that we've got right now. 1337 was when it came down. And look at the production that is getting thrown down here. DFP not mucking around. He says, let's get into it. Now, I'm curious what angle he goes, because hand cannoneers for the English, while the unit is a really good unit because they get the extra attack speed, your economy doesn't necessarily synergize that well with the hand cannoneer. It synergizes a lot better with units like the horsemen, like the men-at-arms. So I'm curious what he looks to do, because I would be expecting that he probably wants to go into hand cannoneers, but the gold is going to become an issue, and he needs to get out onto the map, needs to start. Actually, did that relic get taken away? Let's have a look. Oh, no, I think it just got put in the outpost. No, he did sneak it away. So up to 5 relics now. So very passive game. First 14 minutes, nowhere to be seen. You know we're going to get a picture of this one. This one's going on the thumbnail. Hello, how you doing? We've got ourselves a fast Imperial, an English fast Imperial. I don't think I've ever seen an English fast imp. We've obviously seen like Chinese fast imp. We've seen obviously Holy Roman Empire fast Imperials, but English fast Imperial? This might be the first one that we've ever seen. So that is a beautiful time for an Imperial Age. And I'm curious how he looks to do this. We do see enclosures coming through. Let there be no doubt, the man has researched his enclosures. Often you will sometimes forget to research it. Certain people will forget to research it. I'm not going to be held responsible for what may or may not be researched. But let's ride on board with Salami here as he begins throwing down production. Do we see any archery ranges? No archery ranges just yet. And this is starting to get really interesting now. And I appreciate that this has been a passive game. And not everybody likes a passive game. And to be honest, I try to avoid casting passive games. Not that you know that they're going to happen, but you kind of know from the players. And Divine is a bit more of a passive player. But, you know, when two passive players meet each other, you get fast Imperials. And that's what we've got. Even though Salami is a little bit more notorious with his aggression. But I guess on the Holy Roman Empire, it's quite natural for him to move into this direction. We do see he has picked up the Tithe Barns. Now going to be looking to pick up, I think that's Devotion. Devoutness. I was close. And this one here over here is Benediction. Oh yeah, I know, because I like the name Benediction. It's such a cool name, man. I wouldn't call my child Benedict because they'd probably get mocked at school, but it's a cool name. I'll give it. And so sorry to any Benedicts out there. I appreciate that you guys would have got mocked at school. I would have not been that guy. Benedict, Benny's got us. Oh god, I feel so sorry for you, Benedict. Anyway, Trebuchet now coming out for DFP. And this is what I just love about this fast imp. It just makes total sense. You can start the Treb production immediately. So for anybody wondering how these late games are going to be working, Trebs are where the magic happens for the English. What's the power that the Holy Roman Empire have got? They've got Culverin. How can you avoid the Culverins? Well, you avoid them with your long range. We can see right here, the Trebuchet, 16 tiles of range compared to the Culverin, which has only got 12 tiles of range. Look at this on the other side of the map. You've got an absolute giga chat, and a lot of people might be looking at that and saying Salami's totally going to die. There's no possibility. You know, what would have happened if he just pushed in? Well, I guarantee you that this has got a cannon emplacement on it. Indeed, it does. Cannon emplacement with the relic inside, so it's getting the extra damage, extra attack range. It's got the extra health from the fortification. There's no way this thing dies unless you've got like. You need to have siege with this, and you know what? That's not the only one. I guarantee you there's probably more out here somewhere. It looks like it's the only one he's put out for now, though, and there's the outpost coming on the backside. But this single outpost, I mean, if you watched the game that Core played, not Calp, the game that Core played, I know that there's a lot of close names there, you would know the power of an outpost for the Holy Roman Empire. These guys don't mess around. Emergency repairs, vills to repair. I wish we had kill counters. If we had kill counters, these things would be sitting above 100 easily. Now keep coming down over on that west side, and this is where Salami is somewhat ahead of the game when it comes to DFP, and DFP's rising, and he's just going to be going into crossbow spears. So elite crossbows, hardened spears. So not yet picking up his veterancy on those spears just yet, but able to take out the outpost, and now going to start getting the walls up. And I like the way that he's walling here, going for a bit of an onion style. You start off with your palisades on the back, and then you begin. Oh gosh, those are palisades as well? As wall, I said? Indeed, those are as wall palisades. But then you start moving a little bit further out with your stone walls. So I do like this style. And lots of production coming in for him. So very much a no-rush 20-minute game that we've got right here. I don't know if you guys ever played those types of games. I did back in the day. I've told this story before, and I will tell it again. Okay, before I became an Age of Empires pro. So for anybody who doesn't know, like back in the day, I won a world championship back in 2007. Good old RTSL. And before then, though, I was a scrub. I was a total scrub. So I would look for games that would be like 2v2, no rush, 20 minutes. And you know exactly what I did. You know exactly what I did. I went in and I rushed and in those games, and I would just take the points. And look, they would be annoyed at me, and I would enjoy that. And I've moved on from those ways, but I appreciate that there's probably going to be people out there that still do that. So, Mad, I'm not going to give you respect, but I'm going to say I know where you're coming from, so I see why you're doing it. But at the same time, there are also people who just enjoy playing no-rush games. I know that Age of Empires 3 in particular has got a huge no-rush scene. But look, I can assure you right now, this is not a no-rush game. This is a ranked game. There's no treaty involved in this. It is just two guys being dudes. That's that's it. That's what we've got right now. And DFP got to start the push out slowly but steadily. He's pretty close to max pop, 184. Compare that to Salami, who's sitting on 141. Now remember that a lot of Salami's economy is going to be coming through on that passive gold that he's got. Both of these players picking up passive gold, but the key here is going to be these relics that are coming through. The real question for me is, why did Salami never take the sacred sites? This seems like such free real estate that he just could have taken. Now, granted, it could have been very easy for DFP to deny them, right? Like, you stick a scout on a sacred site, no one's going to take it, especially if they don't have military units. But I think for this game, it definitely could have been, you know, there could have been a little bit of pressure there. The keeps are out. So this is where it starts to get tough, right? Like, if we take a look at DFP, he's got 31 vills on gold. Where are these gold vills? They're back here, and they're towards the front. Now, this gold isn't going to last forever. In fact, this gold's going to be gone in about 2 minutes' time. That's a lot of vills right there. So they're going to need to move on to greener pastures. You've got a small gold over towards the east side and another gold over towards this sacred site, which you need to challenge. This, if you don't get this gold, you're going to be in a really, really tough spot. So he needs to get a keep up. Probably even wants to think about maybe putting a keep like right here. This is a good little spot for a keep. Then maybe like an outpost or two over here. You can throw a keep down here, but it's just there's no continuity between the design of the base, and you're gonna have a real trouble reinforcing if you've got a keep here, because your enemy's just gonna sit right in this little spot and intercept you. So hopefully DFP realizes that. But Spearmen have got their veteran upgrade. That's good to see. We are in the Imperial Age, of course, and the push is going to come out. Got to be so careful. Look at the damage that immediately comes out. The outpost gets spotted. Treb's now going to start working their way through. Keep in mind that outpost has now got... He's picked up the extra health that's come through. Now, has he also got Court Architects? He's getting Court Architects in queue. This is crazy, the amount of upgrades that you can get. So the Holy Roman Empire get a unique upgrade at their keeps, which increases the health of outposts. So it's like outposts, walls, and I don't know, probably like docks, something like that. And anyway, you can see that right now it's sitting on 2450, so that just gives him more wiggle room to use those emergency repairs. So I'm curious whether these trebs look to come through. Now, one thing that I would just note is that there's no walls coming up. Even just a palisade wall across here is going to be really nice to help defend these trebuchets. Look at the bombard firing off now. Vill's moving up, so I think he could be going for an outpost. Yeah, it's just going to be an outpost and a siege workshop coming down. And hold on a minute, we got a push coming out. It's Salami. He's decided it's time to go. Hand cannoneers on the backside, spears on the front. I'm loving it. This is a beautiful composition that comes out. Really high damage, high octane composition. It comes out of the gates. Look at him just one-shotting all those units on the front line. And now able to push through on the enemy. Fortunately, the trebs have made their way out, but the wall's not complete. That could be a little bit disastrous back here. Elite crossbow is going to continue kiting back. Now, crossbows do actually do pretty well against hand cannoneers, as long as they're even in resource number. When it comes to population number, though, hand cannoneers absolutely destroy them. And the wall remains incomplete. He doesn't actually have... This is dangerous. He doesn't have a complete wall off. And you really want that, but he manages to stay on top of the walls for the moment. Divine looking to try and keep control of this game. Let's see exactly how Salami looks to play it. So... one of the key things to note in the late game is the concept of population efficiency. You've got 120 villages. That means you've got 80 population left to play with. If you make spears with those population, you're not going to have a very efficient population. Whereas if you make knights with those population, you're going to have a very efficient population. And the reason why is because of the cost difference. Each of those units takes one population. Yet the cost is vastly different. Now, of course, 80 spears would probably do pretty well against 80 knights. I'd probably tip my... I'd put my money on the knights, though. Hand cannoneers are where it really gets crazy, though. Because the hand cannoneer is the pièce de la résistance of the late game. 120, 120, 240 in total. Very gold heavy, though. So it's 240 resources. Compare that to a spear that's only 80 resources. So great efficiency of that late game population. Now we see some battering rams coming through. Battering rams have become a lot more popular in the recent late games. Obviously, back in the day, we used to see trebuchets coming out a lot. But now it almost seems like bombards. But now it feels like we don't even see bombards. I don't remember the last time I saw a bombard outside of like a meme game where people just only made bombards. And there was a keep attempt over here on the east side, which is the correct place for it. But DFP, unfortunately, going to be missing out. We enter into the cinematic mode once again. Watch out. Salami might look to take the high ground here. If he does, he gets the extra range as well. And now once he's taken the high ground, this is going to be so hard to ever push in here. And look at the damage that's being done against those hand cannoneers. Managing to actually do pretty well against it. Now the treb's going to fall back. He's got a nice little treb number, up to 6 now for the moment. And the men-at-arms do manage to hold for the moment. Battering rams are going to continue to work their way through. Villagers trying to get up some form of defense. And now we can see that all of these units on the high ground are going to look to get cleaned up here. But it's going to take a while to work through all those trebuchets. Look at I love the way that the trebuchets dig up all the paint or all the bricks. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, there was no damage here. No damage done at all. Nice little dodges coming through. Battering rams just having a field day, wiping it out. And now we see Lansknecht starting to come through. Divine on the defense here, pulling villagers. I'm not sure what his plan is. I think he's probably going to be looking to siege down. Yeah, okay. There's no torches, but it definitely looked like when you pull that many vills, that's probably what you want to do. And it's interesting to see how Salami used the walls of his opponent against him. But I hear attacks over on that east side. Let's see if we can spot it. Indeed, it's Bombard up against Bombard Tower. 2 Bombard Towers walk into a bar. The battering ram says... what does the battering ram say? Why the long cannon? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't... I probably needed to set that joke up a little bit earlier. I didn't have the time to think about it. It flopped. It flopped. All right. So it looks like DFP has started to stabilize. There was a point here where I was quite worried about him. But once again, it's going to come down to population efficiency. So you've got men-at-arms, you've got crossbows, which are great, but you've also got longbows in there. And unless you're trading constantly, longbows become really inefficient in the late game. And by trading constantly, I don't mean trading on the trade post. I mean trading out units. So that means you want to be clashing, you want to be fighting with your enemy as much as you possibly can. And what that's going to do is that's going to cause them to bleed. And you can see right now that Salami is bleeding. There is not a lot of resources left in this bank compared to DFP, who's sitting on more than 10,000. So DFP needs to try and make Salami bleed. But the hand cannoneers on the back, this is what are going to be the problem. Sacred Site now, victory is going to be approaching. All 3 Sacred Sites are taken. Emplacements coming through on those. But the men-at-arms together with the hand cannoneers just going to crush through this front line. Keep in mind, we've got Vills now that are going to be pulled towards the battering rams. They're looking to try and soak up any damage that they can. But the longbowmen having so much trouble getting through these men-at-arms and their armor. Look at how little damage they're able to do. If these were hand cannoneers, all of these men-at-arms would be dead. Trebs now not able to really get in some decent shots either. Hand cannoneer is going to be looking to take the high ground once again. Anakin, I have the high ground. It is over, Anakin. If these Trebs can hit like a nice juicy shot right here, maybe it's different. But you can see he's just rallying out towards his position. Hand cannoneer is cleaning it up. They've got that extra attack range, up to 6 in total range. And now another little breakthrough happening in over on this east side. Vill's getting pulled. DFP with a whole bunch of villagers here. Only 10 idols, but a lot of them just going to be sitting here, sieging down these battering rams. He knows how important it is, but if he loses the Trebs, then he loses a huge investment that he's had. And DFP, he's down to 130. Talk about bleeding. Look at the units he's got in production. 32 men-at-arms in production. Just doesn't have the production facilities for it. Something that I often talk about when I'm coaching, which, by the way, shout out Patreon. Oh, we're shouting out Patreon as the game finishes, fellas. You got to make those production facilities. Anyway, the game finishes up. Salami with a beautiful game there. A lot of hand cannoneers. The fast Imperial for the English, not successful today. Maybe we'll see it again. Go check out these 2 creators. I'll leave links in the description, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.